Sorry. Yeah, I'm going to resume the recording now and we'll go ahead. Thank you so much, guys, for starting us off on a very nice note. Great. It's time to go ahead. So, in the next couple of minutes, Rashmi is going to take us through the context of the community that we're going to be working with. This is for us to sort of understand and be very, very informed with the reality of our children and the background from where they come, so that we can really use it while offering support to them one on one. So, Rashmi, over to you.
Yeah. So we work in a community which is in Govandi. So it is in Mumbai, right next to Mankud station. You will find Govandi station, and as soon as you get down from Govandi station towards the first platform, you will find the community. You will get into the reality of that place. You will understand how different it is from the place where we live in. The community has minimum access to proper hygiene and safe water. So, a lot of diarrhea, a lot of diseases go around because of the water that they get to access is not clean, it is not hygienic. The hygiene has increased in the recent years, but it still is poorer than the normal scenario that we have here. Okay. And with over 80% of us of our community people living below below the poverty line, and due to the pandemic, that number has definitely increased, and now it is looking quite different. So the hit of the pandemic is quite a lot on our students, and a lot more on the people who are not our students or not TFI families, because we do offer support, and there are so many people who do not even get that support. So that number has actually gotten affected due to the pandemic, and a lot of health issues cause irregularities in their attendance, irregularities in their normal school days. Then there are a lot of dropout rates also, because a lot of students, because ours is a private school, it's not a government school, so a lot of students parents cannot afford to pay the fees. Even this year we have been supporting our students with the fees from different NGOs. We have been talking with different NGOs, and now one of our trustees have come forward, and he is offering support. So that is how it works usually. We also fundraise a lot of times. You must have seen us putting messages on the social media about fundraising and about running, helping our kids. So this is something about their economic background. Then our community is quite close to the Asia's second largest dumping ground, that is Deonar dumping ground. So due to the proximity of this place to our community, we face a lot of health problems. This dumping ground was supposed to be closed after 45 years, but it is still running after 90 plus years. And the effects of it is very very degrading on the community that is quite near to the place. Then average life expectancy of the community is 39 years, and the violence in the community, although it has died down a little in the recent years, but it's always been very very high, especially the tolerance towards different religions also. That is a problem. Then TFI, now coming to the background of TFI in the community. So TFI has been working in the community for over 12 years. So there was like a 10-year batch, and then there is another batch. We are the second batch of the fellows, and the TFI has worked very closely with the community, with the people of the community and the school. We have two schools in the community. One is Shri Gita Vidyalaya, the other is Jaffrey English School. So these are the two schools that are there in the Govandi community, and both the schools have TFI fellows working in there. So the community has come to respect the TFI fellows and also understand how we work. Also, like, understand that we are here to help them, support them, we are here to uh, uplift them uh, to some extent. So there is a good amount of respect that they have for the TFI fellows and TFI system. Then parents of our students mostly have cell phone businesses. They are mostly like tailors or daily wage earners. Most of our mothers do not work and help to take care of the household. Then the monthly income can be as low as 2500 rupees. Most of our students have better economic conditions, but it has worsened due to the uh, pandemic. So a lot of our parents are facing a lot of difficulties. The economic background does come into play when education in the education of the children, and we do face a lot of issues. We have given a lot of devices to our students, we have given a lot of ration support, we have given a lot of financial support to our parents and students, and that is how we have managed to maintain the 57 on 57 number, uh, which was quite difficult. So this is a little bit of the context that is there of the community, and we can take on from here.
Thanks, Rashmi, for sharing some very crucial context points with the group. I think over here, what is very very important for us to take note of is that these crucial information points and whatever that you've just absorbed in the last couple of minutes will play out in the behaviors of your children. Like when you interact with them, when you interact with the parents, you will actually see them playing out in a lot of ways. Like for instance, kids facing the most amount of difficulties right now in terms of finances, in terms of basic ration or data recharges, are going to be the ones who will inherently be more difficult to deal with. So the point over here is, how may we operate with a lot of context when we are talking to our children, interacting with the parents, because there are reasons behind their actions. We've in our work in the last one year, Rashmi and I have realized that the most difficult children in our class, who are the most disruptive, are the ones actually facing the most amount of problems at home. And that is why we've made this as our duty to sort of be very very rooted in the context of our community, and always operate with that kind of clarity, and never judgment, is what I would say. So as you're making a note, mental note, or if you're writing, then just make a note of these points, and we hope that this helps you while you're interacting with the children. Now, actually, I'll shift gears a little bit. We are still talking about the context of the community, but I want the group to take a minute to sort of think about what are some challenges do you think our children go through just to attend online classes every day? Like, what are some challenges over the top of your head that our children go through in online learning in general? So these can be internet issues, or lack of access to technology, or anything else that is on your mind. You can write this on the chat box. I'm going to give you guys a minute to do it. Yeah, and then I'll share. So the question is that, what are some challenges our children face in online learning? And yeah, you're writing whatever is on your mind right now. Disturbance. Okay, thank you, Nisha. Lack of internet connection. Thank you, Shivani, for sharing. Language barrier. Interesting point, Sneha. Thank you. Not everyone has a computer. Very true. Even smartphones are a problem. Device, no device. Correct. Thank you, Shweta. Going to open it up for another 30 seconds. If anyone has anything else to add or share, or any other point that you feel is valid here, you can share. Lack of knowledge, like how to use, correct? Like lack of familiarity. Phone screen is pretty small. True. Study materials. Interesting. May you elaborate on that, Vede? What do you mean when you say study materials? Is that lack of access to study materials? Because that is true. That is the case. Family.
The kids can't really get access to the books or any of those things in the pandemic, so they really can't study well effectively without the use of those things.
Spot on. You're absolutely right. Thank you so much, Vaidehi, for giving voice to what you've shared. Family background plays a key role. Exactly. That's very, very true. How conducive is the home environment to learning is also a very important factor. Low value or of power of education. Very powerful point. Thank you, Vedangi, for sharing. Thank you, guys, for taking a minute to share. Now we will just share some challenges that we have come across in our 1 year of in the 1 year of our teaching stint. So just see how much of it is actually resonating with you. So a couple of challenges to name are access to limited or failing internet, sharing. There are kids in our classroom who share their smartphone with 5 to 6 people in their family, so they don't have unlimited access to a device. Like laptop is a very far fetched thing, but even just a device which is of this size approximately, they don't have full access to it all day because they share it with so many siblings, and all of them have online classes or some sort of homework coming in through the day, so they don't have full access to a device. Frequent internet connectivity issues we have, despite living in an urban area, an urban low income background, we've realized that the network issues are more pronounced in the areas we work in because of just faulty network towers. And only recently, I think a month back, the Geo tower, which was installed in Govandi, was taken. I mean, I don't know, it was broken down or something happened because of some political disturbances, and now kids have very severe network issues because of the same. Then unfamiliarity with online learning platforms, which causes disengagement. So as Teach for India fellows, we work a lot to make sure that there's a lot of awareness in our stakeholders and everyone is as informed as we can empower them to be. But the reality is that our access is not as much as we would like, right? So there is still a lot of I would say lack of awareness, which needs to be addressed, and which becomes a problem when it comes to online learning, because it's so heavily dependent on information, right? And just your awareness, your general awareness, which plays a very important role in your engagement. So that is another point. Then no safe spaces at home which can support their learning. We've come to realize that our kids come from some very difficult backgrounds, and because of the pandemic especially, the general level of violence in the community has seen a very steep rise, which has made the community more unsafe than it was before. Kids have also started engaging in a lot of violent activities, which was something that wasn't a part of their daily life so much before, because they used to spend that time in school. But now they don't have access to a safe space all the time, which can support their learning truly. Majority of our kids are 2 to 3 years behind grade level, so they are supposed to be reading and comprehending at grade 5 level, but the reality is that 50% of our children actually are not at grade level. So just the complexity of information and what they are expected to know is so much that it becomes even more difficult to cater to that online. Some of our children don't have the most invested parents who take active interest in their academic progress and development, and these are because of many reasons. It's not just that parents don't care or they don't understand why education is important, because every single parent we know deeply cares about their child, deeply wants their child to have a better life than they did. We've spoken to all 57 of them, and we can say this like in writing. But the only problem becomes, like, they have so many challenges that education always tends to take the back seat, and we are, as stakeholders working with them, we should take cognizance of that and not form a judgment for their level of investment or disinvestment. Then there are too many negative influences in the community which make it very hard for our kids to stay on the right path. So there's a lot of substance abuse, a lot of alcoholism in the community, which is extremely tempting for a kid who is either in their teenage years or about to step into them, because they see their older kids getting into all sorts of habits, and then they feel like maybe this is what they are also destined to do, and it's very easy for them to go astray when they don't have good role models in the community.
Yeah, even I would like to add in this point that our system, like building system, tends to be like we only see people when we need to, but community is a lot open, like it's very open. You step out and you see someone else. So many people they engage on a daily basis in the community than we usually do in a building system, right? So that is something that plays a key role. And although our kids, like, they are different, they consider themselves to be different from the community, and because of the culture that they have, uh, yet it is very easy for them to fall into bad influence.
Right. Thank you, Rashmi. Actually, that's a very interesting point, that it is very easy for our kids to get influenced because they don't have the luxury of actually being separated from their neighbors and people who live nearby. Since our community is structured or is made in a way that all houses are in very, very close proximity to each other, and the houses are small, so people are generally always outside and not inside their houses. So it's really easy for people to both mingle and get to know each other and also get into like habits which are not the best for them. So yeah, so that is one very interesting point to add. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead. Yeah, so I was sharing about the health problems. Since our kids live so close to the dumping ground, there are a lot of challenges in terms of waste management and in just waste dumping in general. It has also led to a lot of pollution and a lot of health hazards for our children, because it's not advisable, or it's actually not allowed for kids or people to live so close to a dumping ground that's that huge as the Devna dumping ground. So it has caused a lot of health problems, and in general there is lack of awareness around nourishment and nutrition, which has caused undernourishment in general in children. Then usually our children have younger siblings who disrupt their learning, because it's a small house, so everyone's always packed in one house, and it's difficult to focus in remote learning when you have so many people around you. They have 7 subjects to master, out of which only four are being taught to them regularly. So the TFI, the Teach for India intervention in the school, Shri Gita Vidyalaya, we only teach math, science, English, and social studies. The teachers who are teaching them Hindi and Marathi are actually non-Teach for India teachers, and because of the pandemic, our school is also very, very understaffed. So out of the 30 staff members, only 6 of them show up and teach all grades from grade 1 to 10. So they are extremely overworked and extremely pressured. We have the luxury to only focus on one classroom, so we do our best for our children. But that's not the case with the non-Teach for India teachers. So the kids actually have not had a single Hindi Marathi online class in a year. So they have faced a lot. I'm seeing some some reactions on people's faces. Yes, it is actually very concerning. And we have tried to take Hindi Marathi classes with the help of volunteers in personal capacity, but it has not been enough, because right now we might feel that Hindi Marathi is not something they should be worried about, but when they reach 10th grade and they have to write a board exam, it will become a problem. So we are still thinking about ways in which we can address that need as well. Lastly, I feel most of them do not like the community they live in. Our children, being aware and being more aware than the children around them, they realize the problems in the community, and they don't like the fact that their community is the way it is. Yeah, so I think these are some points which we wanted to bring to your notice, and we wanted to just give you an overall idea of the amount and the complexity of challenges that go around in the community, and the fact that they are all connected to each other, right? Like, you can't possibly solve for just education, lack of access to education, without sort of tackling the community. Like, it's all connected. At the same time, we still, Rashmi and I both, we hold a lot of love and a lot of pride in the fact that we're a part of Govandi. And I think Govandi as a community has immense potential to do, to change the lives of our children. It's just that it needs a lot of work. And we hope that in the term of our fellowship, we are able to bring those shifts in Govandi. But it is a beautiful community, and we really hope that if the pandemic allows it, in a couple of months, you guys also get to come to our school and just see the beauty of the community. Yeah. So we will go to the next part. We've talked a lot about the context. So I'm actually going to give you a minute, because I've been speaking very, very much. So I'm going to give you a minute to synthesize. If you have any questions about the community or in general, now is the time for you to put it on chat. Then I will move to our classroom. Because we've spoken a lot about the community. Now it's time for us to sort of zoom in and talk about the class. If you don't have questions and you're feeling okay and confident to start go to the next part, you can give me an indication by giving me a virtual thumbs up. Thank you, Shivani. Thank you, Vedangi. Amazing. Thanks, Mamta, Manisha, Ashna. Great. Shweta, Vedahi, thank you, Nisha, Sneha. I hope you guys are feeling okay. And okay, amazing. A lot of thumbs ups I'm seeing. Vedahi, Sneha, I hope you guys are also ready. Amazing. I saw something on chat. Yes, great. Super. Okay, I'll start talking about the class a little bit. So we will share some data points with all of you, like where we are currently. So like I said, we stepped into the community for a couple of months, then we had to step back because of the second wave. So now we've had to pivot again to the virtual setting, right? Like we have started taking online classes completely, which has led to a dip in our data. Like back in 2020, we were only operating in the virtual world. So our data actually was very strong because we were doing everything possible to get kids to the online class. But then when we stepped into the community, we actually opened our own community center as well in Govandi. And it is a safe space for the children, and we took classes there for a good 2 months. So kids also got so used to being in the classroom again that now they don't want to come back, like to the virtual world. So now the kids are facing that that barrier. They're like, no Didi, why do we have to do this all over again? And we are facing that too. Rashmi and I, for the longest time, we were like, no, let's still go, but considering safety, it's not possible. So we just want to share some data on where we currently are as a class in terms of our numbers. So attendance wise, we have 45% of our superheroes accessing online classes every day. Then in terms of homework completion and engagement, we have 10% of superheroes engaging in homework these days. And it's also because right now our community being a Muslim dominated community, they have Ramzan right now. So all of them are very involved in the Ramzan festivity. So they are not taking homework very seriously these days. And lastly is our accessibility. So this is something we are very proud of as a class, that we are currently in touch with all 57 of our superheroes. And this is a big feat for us because we started our fellowship virtually. So a lot of kids who did not have devices never spoke to us for the first 6 months. It was only when Rashmi and I went to the community and knocked on a lot of doors is when we found our kids. And we got them into the community. We gave them those smartphones, and now they are in touch with us. They are safe, and they're learning in some format. Now we just would like to show you where we want to reach, like what is our vision. And obviously it's 100% for all three. We want to see all 100% of our students accessing online class, not just 45. Every child matters. All 100% of our students engaging in homework, and all 57 of them being accessible to us at all times. So yeah, that's just our vision. We just want to share it with you because now you're a very integral part of the classroom. So you should know what we are working towards. With this, we have derived a vision for our classroom and a vision for all of us together. So the vision is that, actually, no, I would love if someone can come off mute and read this for me. Anyone to volunteer reading, would be great. Waiting for one brave soul to raise their hand and read. I do this with my kids all the time, and they're very excited to read.
I think I can do this.
Amazing. 2 people came off mute. Great. Anyone go. Sneha, Nisha, whoever.
Sneha, you do it's fine.
Okay. Sneha, go ahead. Thanks, Nisha. Thanks, Sneha.
We envision to reach all the superheroes in our class by leveraging, investing, and training a collective of leaders and stakeholders with a shared vision of doing whatever it takes to impart an excellent education till the very last mile.
Thank you so much, Sneha. So happy to hear your voice. Thank you for reading. So yeah, that's exactly our, thanks Nisha for the reaction. So that's our vision, and we feel like 2 people are not enough. No matter how invested and how crazy we are, it's not possible for us to do all of it alone. So that is exactly why we want to cultivate this spirit of like being a collective, and you are the guys you are the leaders we want to invest and train, right? So that we can actually have a shared vision we are working towards, and make sure that we are imparting and like reaching every single child in our class, no matter how difficult that might be. Great. So I think I am going to go ahead and hand it over to Rashmi to talk a little bit about what are some of our expectations. Rashmi, go ahead.
Thanks, Gargi. So before coming to the expectation, I actually wanted to add one point about 57 on 57 number. So like how crucial is that? I'll tell you the gravity of it. You'll get to know that the last child, like the 57th child, we found him in March, like this March. So that is the number, like, how important that number is. So now, coming to the expectations. So very very important, communication is very very important on the fellow, like, on the WhatsApp group or to us personally. So you will be part of the WhatsApp group, and we will do all the communication there. And if you feel like, you would like to get quicker response for something, you can also call us or get, personal messages. Even that is open. Then when we send certain messages, acknowledging all the messages that are sent, sharing important updates, so important updates in terms of your kids. So if you get to understand a few information that you feel is crucial for us to know, crucial for us to act on in a, like, in an urgent basis, then make sure that you are calling and messaging it to us. These could be, like, maybe a serious health issue for our kids, or maybe a serious breakdown in our kids, or could be something regarding the family's background also. If the family reaches out for help, or family reaches out saying that, they are facing certain issues, make sure that you get to us and just reach out. Then if you want to take a leave, then for a day or two, then let us know one day in advance, and we will make sure that we, like, find someone, or we also, like, or do the work that you are doing. But it is very important because kids, they don't take holiday when you take holiday. So that is one thing that you need to keep in mind. The work needs to keep going on. Second thing is time commitments. So everyone was informed that 1 hour time commitment is something that is mandated from our side. Anything above and beyond that you can do. However, 1 hour would be a mandate every day, and sticking to that time commitment is very very important to make sure that you are fulfilling all the responsibilities that are entrusted in you. Then be professional mostly, like, update the daily tracker by 8 p.m. every day. So there will be a homework tracker that you need to fill in. So it's just 1 or 0 that you need to put. And if the kid has done like half homework, then it would be 0.5. You will have to update the daily tracker. Then communicate to the children and other stakeholders in an appropriate and sensitive manner. So make sure that your communication to them is always respectful, always appropriate, and always empathetic in nature. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. Then confidentiality is the most important factor. So in terms of the data that we are sharing with you of the kids, or their numbers or their background, anything, before, like, disclosing it to someone else, please do ask us. Or, like, even the photos or videos that you take, you may take photos or videos of you teaching the kids or something like that, and you might want to share it to someone, like, to your WhatsApp status or Instagram status. Just let us know before you're sharing it. We will see it, review it, and then we'll let you know to if you can go ahead with it or not. So just keep in mind that to keep us in loop in terms of confidentiality, a lot of information that is there about the kids that we share with you, everything is something that you must keep to yourself. And if there is something that you would want to share at any point of time, you must consult us. This is very very important. Gargi, would you like to add something in this? All good?
I think you've covered everything pretty well.
Yeah. And then lastly, quality and integrity. So to make sure that the volunteering experience is something that you really enjoy, and something that we also feel proud of, that we had such a volunteer, then it is very very important to operate with a lot of quality and integrity towards the volunteering work that you're doing. so ensure that you are sharing feedback on a daily basis with your kids, as well as it is very very key that you are sharing your key learnings as well. Then ensure that your work is of highest quality possible, and make sure that all the actions that you're taking is in the best interest of your children that you are catering to. So make sure that although, like, sometimes some things, some responsibilities like updating tracker can be a little, like, tiresome or boring to be in nature, but make sure that you are doing it regularly, because it is a very important data for us, and it is very important to understand where our kids are. So these responsibilities are as important as other responsibilities, as reaching out and teaching our kids or having a reading session with our kids. Things like that, they're very interesting, you would enjoy them, but the responsibilities that do seem a little monotonous, make sure that you don't lack in them, because it is a very very important part of our whole work, right? So done with the expectations, we'll be moving on. If you have any question, I'm so sorry. uh, if you have any question on this section, please write on chat. And if you are good to go, give me a thumbs up, we'll go to the next part. Yep, I see Nisha, Shivani, and Sneha giving me a thumbs up, and Manisha, Archana, Komal. Thank you.
I do have
Archana also.
question, but I will ask it at the end then. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you, Vedangi. So next, the next part is what is something that you should expect from us. So firstly, an opportunity to experience and understand the complex problem of education inequity, and the work that you're working very very closely with the students and the stakeholders which who are, like, facing this problem firsthand. So you would get to get a lot of context in this in this scenario. Then experiencing working with children and various community stakeholders. So, like, I think a lot of you have written in your responses that you like interacting with kids, you like interacting with you like such opportunities, so it would be great for you. Then opportunity to build patience, definitely a lot of patience, sense of possibility, because every single day our kids do a lot of problem solving in simple scenarios, and you would understand how privileged we are and how simple things are for us. Then an unwavering belief in the potential of our children and children in general. So our children are very very, like, aware, very active, very, like, a lot of things. So you would get to know how cool can kids be. If there are some of you who do not like kids, then you might actually start liking kids. Then a certificate after completion of your volunteership. You can continue your volunteership even after the given, like, 100 hours of volunteering and 2 months, that would be 1 unit. You can still continue, but only after completion of these mandated hours you will be able to get a certificate, and you will also be able to procure a letter of recommendation upon showing exemplary performance, and at the end a meaningful and rewarding experience. That is the most important point.
Before we thank you, Rashmi. Before we move ahead to talk about the next part, I just want to take a minute to understand if there are any questions at this point regarding the expectations piece. Then you can like ask us right now on chat or off mute, whatever works. If not, let us know again. You know the drill. Give us a thumbs up so that we know you're feeling okay.
So
And
one thing is there about the hour that we give. Is it like it should be can be any time of the day, or it should be fixed, or it can be few days it will be certain thing and few days it will be different. So what is the flexibility about that 1 hour?
Rashmi, I'll answer. So great question, Vedangi. Thank you for asking. So actually, it is going to be at least 1 hour every day because you're giving regular feedback to the child on their
No. Let me clear it. 1 hour I'll be giving, but when to give it means it is not
time of day.
time of the day. That
Understood.
Is it continuous or discrete? Right?
Like every day, maybe weekdays I'll be able to give certain one. This time means maybe 4 to 5, but weekends it will be something maybe 2 o'clock. So is that okay?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I'll respond.
Yeah.
So Vedangi, usually you have certain things that you need to do on a particular time, and those things are it would not take more than 5 or 10 minutes, and there are certain things that you can you shift according to your availability. So suppose you want to take a doubt solving session with your kids, so this is something that you would do according to your availability and the kids availability. So you come on a decision with the kid that okay, this time I'm free, this time you are free, both of us are free, let's do it this time. Okay, so this is something you can do on a flexible basis. But depending on things like trackers, sending homework, these are time time sensitive. So you have to send homework at 10 a.m. You have to fill the tracker after 8 p.m, something like that. That is something that is fixed.
Yeah, so there are certain
Okay,
responsibilities. Yeah.
Send homework as in means me sending homework or they sending homework to me?
So I'll clarify that. So there's only one volunteer, which is not going to be the new folks here. So one old volunteer will be sending the homework on the group. So homework will be designed by us. Just the responsibility of sending it on the WhatsApp groups will be given to one volunteer. They will be sending the homework at 10 a.m. sharp every single day. The school will be sending the homework to you for correction. You can correct the homework. So correction of homework and feedback, if it happens at a certain window every day, then it will be helpful because it will build predictability in the child's schedule as well. Like they know when to expect a call from their volunteer Didi. They're going to call at 4 o'clock and give feedback, and that's set, right? Considering right now it's summer break, so kids might not spend a lot of time on their phones. So if you can set a schedule with them, that would be superb. It can be on mutual basis. Like you work out a schedule which works for you best and for the child you're working with, right? But the point being that there are some things which need to be done every day. It will be helpful if you can do them in the first half, because you or the child not to get feedback at like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the night, in the evening, because it's their summer break, so they would also like to spend more time with their family or like just chilling. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes, kind of.
I know we confused you.
Yeah, no, you did not confuse me. Only my concern is me spending that 1 hour with them. That I was concerned. Baki to this is like we are sending homework, it will be on the message, they doing, responding, it will be message that we can do while doing. But it is like since I'm working, so I have like 8 hours I have to give that. So from that I'll have to remove, and then I have other things also. So I'll plan my whole day according to that 1 hour. That 1 hour I will just dedicate to, or one or more that I'll just dedicate to the kids. No
Perfect,
disturbance.
yeah.
Like that.
Correct.
In that sense, I wanted to.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
It answered.
Yeah. Vedangi, that makes a lot of sense, and you can actually work around your schedule completely. Like we have given a window actually to you guys to work between 4 to 6. But yes, I mean, if you are a working professional, so you have like your work hours set as well. So if you think that you will be able to contribute much better right after work, then you can set that expectation and just communicate that to your child. As long as the child knows and you know, and you are meeting that expectation, not a problem to us. Like you are giving feedback to the child before it's really late. That's the only expectation from us, and the child getting clarity that they need for the homework that they've done. Yeah, that's
also one one thing, like in general, some kids, they might actually like call you after 10 p.m., or like text you after 10 p.m. You are not liable to respond to that. You will respond in the next, like next morning, the next day. That is something we are building in our kids, that
Yeah.
because of the like them getting the mobile during the day, and they have like now all their habits have been like a little distorted. So that is why they do call or message at 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So post 10, make sure that you are not responding to any calls or
Yeah.
messages.
You don't need to.
Yeah, just make sure you
Thank you.
tell them.
Thank you.
Yeah, make sure that you tell them you will call me only if something urgent is there, and tell them urgent meaning that you
It's
are
an
unwell.
emergency.
Yeah, it's an emergency. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and this goes to everyone, like our kids, because they are young and they have received a mobile phone at a very young age. We are building this habit very very much in the class as well, but still, like when they get their new didis, they get very excited. They're like, oh my god, new volunteer didis, now I want to talk to them all the time. So just make sure that you are setting that expectation, and if despite, like if the expectation gets breached and the kids are calling you, don't pick up. And the next morning when you are reaching out to them, you can tell them that, hey, I didn't pick up your call because Didi has work all day, Didi gets tired, and Didi could not check your call, because that's family time for me. So like you have time for your family in a day and time for your Didis and study time. Similarly, I also have a family time set in my day, so I couldn't respond to you. So that you can simply just let them know, and they always understand. It's just that their excitement, they forget rules very much. Even after 1 year of reinforcement, they they make very nice mistakes. Anyway, we'll go ahead.
I had a question.
Yes, Ashna, go ahead.
So in the month of May, I have like holidays, so I can do like 1 hour every day. But in the month of June, I have school myself, so I wouldn't be able to give 1 hour every day. I can only do it on like like Saturdays.
That is actually like good question. So all those people who actually have found time a lot in the month of May, uh, so you can dedicate that time during the month of May. We might